Welcome back, one and all, to our dark and dreary farming empire. Fret not, my friends, though everything seems hopeless and depressing, this too shall pass. Only time shall heal the wounds that have been inflicted on our hearts after losing our wonderful friend Fifth. But of course, to begin the healing process truly, we must dispose of those who have inflicted these wounds upon us. Though we did manage to slaughter the martial paratroopers and their captain, their bodies still remain among our streets. Within Thromboian culture, there is no greater disrespect after death than to have your remains burned instead of buried. So that is exactly what we will be doing with them today. As Lot stands by the corpse fire, she vows that not only will we cleanse these marshals with fire, but we will cleanse the entire planet with fire from the marshal service. Not long after this, we ended up having a wild Thromboian man enter the area. He was more like an animal or a beast than a Thromboian, but we decided that we would try to communicate with him. He didn't speak any language that we knew, but Chief Shirt attempted to communicate with him through hand signals and also by offering him plenty of food, as being out in the wild, he's most likely starving. Another of our big things that we had planned on doing in this episode as well was building some skylights within our guard towers. These skylights will allow whoever is in the guard tower on their shift to look up into the sky and look for martial planes, helicopters, and things like that may be too high that we cannot hear them. Because obviously we do not want any more martial paratroopers parachuting into our base and attacking us in the dead of night. We were also planning a caravan to a local Thromboian village that was dealing with a lot of famine and starvation. We were going to drop off plenty of food to them and also see if they had anything to trade. Now, of course, we like to give as much as we can to Thromboian villages, but doing a bit of trading with them as well is going to help their economy. And plus, whatever we end up buying from them, we can use back home in the farming empire, even some livestock, possibly. While we're on the topic of livestock, Chief Shirt has also commissioned a massive granary be built. That way we can store plenty of hay and things like that for all of our farm animals. At one point, Chief Shirt somehow managed to coerce Harris, the wild Thromboian man, to actually join us. Which was perfect because Harris was a real beefcake. He would be perfect for some manual labor around the farming empire. In the meantime, of course, though, we continued to work on our massive granary up until the point that our caravan arrived at the local Thromboian settlement nearby. It was finally time for us to do a little bit of trading and also a little bit of gifting some food. We would end up gifting them about 580 of our freshest pumpkins. The pumpkins that are so fresh that they've sat in our food baskets for about a month or two, but that's okay. We don't have to tell them that part. Interestingly enough, they ended up having a hen and a rooster, both of which we ended up buying. This was perfect because we could start breeding them and we could end up having a bunch of inbred chickens. Back at home, Shirt had commissioned Lot to build some nice armor for our brand new pal Harris. Harris was a bit different from other Thromboians, so we wanted him to have some different armor than the rest of us. We ended up going with a dark medieval style armor for him that would protect all of his limbs and his toes and his fingers. It was also during this time that Hack began work on our chicken coop, which I might add was a wonderful suggestion from our good friend and viewer CVWP21, so thank you very much for the suggestion. This coop would be perfect for our chickens to have babies and those babies to have babies, and we could have all kinds of inbred chickens. I don't know if you can tell, but inbreeding animals is kind of our thing throughout these Empire series. During this time, we were also working heavily on our defenses as we were trying to prepare for any upcoming raids or attacks. But during the time of working on our defenses, Harris had somehow swooned Lot into becoming his lover. I suppose love knows no words, seeing how Harris only speaks with grunts and hand signals. But nonetheless, we were extremely happy for them. I mean, they only just met a few days or so ago, but that's okay. As a show of appreciation for all of their hard work, Chief Shirt herself decided to be the one that would build their double bedroll for them. And the two of them look mighty comfortable. It is a little strange that Harris is sleeping with his eyes open, but to each their own, I suppose. At one point, Carol came up with the idea to build a large prison. Now, of course, this was not for enslaving people or punishing people. This was for reforming people. people. Within these new prison walls, we hope to change people's hearts and minds and get them to join us here. Speaking of which though, we have a raid from the Confederacy of Banah, so it looks like we may have plenty of members who are going to need their hearts and minds changed soon. Assuming we don't slaughter them on the battlefield, that is. Interestingly, within the raiding party, we were able to spot a chief. But this was not just any Thromboian chief, this was Chief Favin, a chieftain that was notorious for cruel and unusual punishments after capturing their enemies. We had to make her pay for her crimes against Thromboian kind. Carol came up with a plan. We would initiate a preemptive strike against them, weakening them just before they actually raided the farming empire. But of course, not only did Carol come up with this wonderful plan, she also decided that she, Harris, and Lurkot would lead this strike against the raiding party. Since Harris, being the big beefcake that he was and so heavily armored, he would be in the front line, as Lurkot and Carol shot at them from behind and also worked on maneuvers. After beginning the preemptive strike, it appeared that the plan was working. Our enemies were wearing some fairly bright armors and whatnot, so it wasn't too hard to see them even out in the dark with the glow of the moon shining down. The moon was illuminating the battlefield just enough so that we could get a clear shot at our enemies. And thankfully for us, this appeared to be just enough to kill several of them. Unfortunately though, we were quite injured by this point. Even our horses were very injured, so we had to make a strategic retreat. However, after retreating back to the safety of our city walls, our enemy became impatient. With many of their members getting killed by us, they felt that now was the time to strike with their overall group. Hack began spewing fire onto the battleground, trying to deter any Thromboian soldiers from coming directly at them. Their chieftain led the charge against us, many of them firing their arrows at us while the others made their way towards our city entrance. Even while on fire, their chieftain managed to break our lines. Luckily though, Hack and Sherd managed to down her, and then we began trying to kill her fleeing soldiers. With the majority of the enemy forces dead or incapacitated, we began rescuing our wounded as well as several of the enemy soldiers who we could try to patch up and hopefully also try to rehabilitate, even their chieftain. But in a very odd turn of events, it turns out that Chief Sherd and Hack decided to have their wedding shortly after the raid. So I suppose it's a bit of a marriage celebration, but also a celebration of defeating the Confederacy of Banah's chief. All of our tribe members gathered in our beautiful dining hall to witness the matrimony between Hack and Sherd. It was truly a wonderful and amazing event, and they all partied deep into the night. Later on that night, Hack and Sherd decided to join each other in bed as a married couple. And I must say, it must have been a very eventful night, because just after awakening, it appears that Chief Sherd is now pregnant with Hack's baby. And I must say that I personally am extremely excited. I cannot wait to see what this baby looks like. Now, sometime later, Chief Sherd explained to Hack that we need to move the chief from the Confederacy of Banah to a much larger prison. Since she is such a high-value target, we will receive massive armies at our doorstep attempting to free her. Hack was extremely concerned that the Blue Stork tribe that ran the prison wouldn't exactly rehabilitate the chieftain. After arriving though, Chief Truss assured us that this would indeed be the case and that no harm would come to the prisoner. Hack seemed extremely hesitant and reluctant to believe Chief Truss, but Sherd was his wife and also his chieftain, so he put all of his trust and faith in her. On the way to the prison, Chief Truss explained that Muffalo Point City had recently been liberated from the Marshal Service. As Hack looked around, he realized that the only people that were in the city were Thromboians, though. The lack of diversity within the city was not lost on him. Not long after, we arrived at the prison in the center of town. Before taking her into the prison, Truss explained that he must read off the charges, but instead he stood there silently and pulled out his weapon. Before Hack even had a chance to say anything to him or to run and try to stop him, it was already too late. The chief was dead. No trial, no attempt at rehabilitation. She had been executed. Hack was obviously extremely upset. Truss and Sherd explained that they only lied to him because they knew that he would not agree to what they had planned. Hack began an argument with the two chiefs about what they had done, and he was even so angry that he stormed off away from them. Just after Hack stormed off, Truss and Sherd began talking without him, of course. Truss explained in a very hateful manner that she had better keep her imp dog on a leash, because if he were to get in the way of the goddess's plans, they will be forced to put all of them down. Sherd explained that everything was still going to plan and that Hack would not be a problem for what they had planned. Truss said that that was good and for her to keep an eye out because before too long the goddess will be calling upon her and her tribe. But for now she must continue waiting. As you could imagine, there wasn't much conversation on the way home, as Harris couldn't speak in their tongue, and also Hack was extremely pissed off. Instead of immediately heading back home with Sherd, Hack decided that he would go into the dining hall and see if he could spot Carol. Luckily he did, she was relaxing at the dining table. Hack joined Carol at the table and began explaining to her exactly what had happened on their trip. Hack began expressing concerns to Carol that he wasn't exactly sure if Sherd was fit to be their leader anymore. Not only that, he was also explaining that he wasn't even for sure if she had their best interest in mind. Little did Hack know that within the dining hall, the walls have ears, and they surely listen. Lot immediately ran to the greenhouse where Chief Sherd was to explain to her what she had heard in the dining hall between Hack and Carol. Chief Sherd thanked Lot for her unwavering loyalty and explained to her and reassured her that she would handle this. In the meantime, though, we would continue expanding our farming empire. While Hack, Sherd, and Harris were away escorting the prisoner to Muffalo Point City, we had recruited the other Thromboians that we had captured in the raid, so it was time that we built them a proper place to stay. We decided that we would build them a very large and shared barracks, that way we wouldn't have to spend any individual time on upkeep with some individual housing. It would be much easier and much more sustainable with a large barracks, of course. For a very long time, we would continue our work into expanding the empire and making it a much more sustainable and hospitable place for our tribe. But of course, we had much to do. We had to tend to our livestock, continue working on our beautiful roads, our defenses, and just the empire in general with buildings and things like that and infrastructure. After a month had passed, we had completed a lot of work on our empire city, but there was still much to do. By this point, our livestock was nice and plump, so we decided to give a large shipment of our rabbits to a local Thromboian tribe. The only problem was they were extremely hard to reach. So we decided to implore some help from the rebels and their helicopter. Chief Sherd heard the commotion and came out with her bow raised. She realized quickly, of course, that it was simply Reek, Oakley, and Happy Oak coming to get the shipment of rabbits as they had discussed previously. She greeted them with open arms, of course, and Reek and Oakley shortly thereafter decided to go and begin loading up the rabbits as Happy Oak asked the chief where Lurkat was. She said that he was in the center of town, and Happy Oak went off to go and speak with his son. The father and son duo were ecstatic to see each other once again, and the two of them embraced one another with a warm hug. Happy Oak was a bit worried though, as he explained to Lurkat that he could see it in his face that he had been through a lot in his time here at the farming empire so far. Lurkat simply agreed with him and said that we have much to discuss, father. Very, very much to discuss. Happy Oak, of course, explained that they would discuss everything in due time. He also began to tell Lurkat that his health was beginning to worsen, and he urged his son to come back home with him, even if for a brief period of time. Thankfully, of course, Lurkat agreed to take a bit of leave from the farming empire for a while and come back home with his father. The two of them, as well as the other rebels, began loading up all of the rabbits so that they could take them back and drop them off at this local Thromboian village just before returning home. And I personally, as the narrator, am extremely happy to see Happy Oak and Lurkat reunited once again, especially with Happy Oak being as old as he is and having his health issues with his heart. However, Happy Oak taking Lurkat with him means that Hack and Carol have one less person in the farming empire that they can trust. Lurkat is a very valuable ally to Hack and Carol as well, especially since he has ties to the rebels that Hack had cut long ago when he walked out on the bootlegging empire. Ties that we very well may need to call upon in the future. Good afternoon, Degum. This is your Regime Radio. We have some breaking news for you at this time. Commander Ross is confirming that a high-value Thromboian chieftain has been shot and killed. The chieftain, known to the Thromboians as Chief Truss, has been eliminated. This chieftain has been a prominent figure in what is now being called the Thromboian Uprising. The commander is also stating that this will be a massive turning point in the uprising. We here at Regime Radio, though, will of course keep you updated as more details are released. Some reminders, of course, from our great and loving regime. Remember, folks, if you see something, say something. If you were to spot any suspicious activity by any Thromboians, be sure to report this to your local constable's office. The suspected Thromboians will be detained immediately to remove the threat from society, ensuring that you can sleep peacefully at night. Also, do not forget that the annual resource tax collection will be taking place this Friday. Of course, if you are unable to pay the resource tax with livestock, crops, or even manpower, a simple payment of gold or silver will do. But this has been your Regime Radio. We will be back on bright and early in the morning with more updates and details about the assassination of the Thromboian chieftain, as well as the war against the rebels and the Thromboian uprising. And as always, folks, long live the marshals, long live the regime. Hello, it is I, Rat Knight, no longer the voice of Regime Radio. I am me once again. I just wanted to come in at the end of the video here and talk to you guys for a minute, and thank you ever so much for watching, and thank you for your support on the channel, on the videos, and everything. You guys are absolutely wonderful, as always. You always are, and you're honestly just amazing. You guys are always giving great feedback, great suggestions. I can't talk, dude. It's early in the morning. But I want to pop in at the end of the video and just thank everybody, and have that at the end of the video. I also want to thank our Discord member Black_Station for the wonderful idea of these radio broadcasts. I originally was going to wait to try and credit you when we do like a mini series of like Rebel Radio or Regime Radio, where we're kind of doing that thing, but, like a mini-series kind of thing with the broadcast and whatnot. But just in case we end up not doing that anytime soon, I want to give you some credit here and just say thank you ever so much for the idea to do, radio broadcasts and stuff like that. It's honestly been awesome. I think that is a great addition to the series. But I also wanted to jump in and kind of plug our VODs channel as well. So I have created a secondary channel called Rat Knight VODs, where at some point I hope to be uploading some like streams and stuff. I hope to stream sometime in the future, and then I'll upload the streams to that channel. But as of right now, what I'm going to be doing is basically just some long form content, almost like a let's play style. I mean, that basically is what it is a let's play style, and I'm playing for like an hour and a half to 2 hours at a time, in a colony or whatever, and just uploading it, or really just any long form content that I don't want to put on the main channel because I don't want it to affect our watch time and stuff like that. So you guys should definitely go over there, though, if you're interested in that kind of thing, and be sure to like and subscribe. Even if you're not interested, you should go and subscribe for me because you love me and I love you, and you should do that for me. That way I can get the subscriber count up over there, and that'll help us kind of get that out to more and more people, and just growing both channels and the Rat Knight in general, which is amazing, which will grow our audience and our community and all the great stuff, right? So I really appreciate it. But once again, guys, thank you all ever so much for watching. I absolutely love you, and I hope to see you in the next one very soon. Goodbye.